I think most people would know about Resident Evil 4 by now. Since its original release on the GameCube as part of the Capcom 5 deal, Resident Evil 4 has appeared on almost every console since its original release in 2005, including devices like mobile phones and virtual reality consoles. Resident Evil 4 has been a hot topic in the Resident Evil community, with some people saying that the game is a masterpiece of the series, bringing Resident Evil into the spotlight, with others calling it out as a game that almost brought the end of the series, with the survival horror focus being put aside and Resident Evil moving into a more generic action-adventure realm, where it sat till the release of games like Resident Evil Revelations and later Resident Evil 7, where the series returned to the survival horror roots. Now we have the remake of Resident Evil 4, leaving Code Veronica on the shelf once again. For those of you who wanted Resident Evil 4 to get the same treatment that Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 got in previous years, you're going to be happy with what Capcom has done here. But for everyone else who is asking why Resident Evil 4 got the remake treatment instead of things like Dino Crisis and Code Veronica, well, all I can say is,
this is the way.
Story-wise, things are pretty much unchanged from the 2005 original. Sure, the order of things has changed in order to raise some of the drama from the original game, but the basics remain the same. You still have to find Ashley, you still get infected with Las Plagas, Luis still exists, and the castle is still a pain in the ass. Outside of these general clues, I can't tell you anything further about the order of or the actual changes Capcom has made to Resident Evil 4, but I will confirm that there are changes that have been made to the stories and characters, enough to keep people interested over the game's 16 chapters. The biggest change for Resident Evil 4 that I can tell you is the gameplay and graphics. Gameplay-wise, Resident Evil 4 plays as smoothly as possible, with the trademark over-the-shoulder perspective having never looked or worked this well. A big holdover from the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. Weapon switching is much better on the go, as you have a quick change option that is available over time. The attaché case returns as well, working just like it did with the item management system as it did in the 2005 original, complete with upgrades in size and look. So for all you item management OCD people like myself, you'll love this system all over again. The only negative I will say about the gameplay of Resident Evil 4, or that I'm allowed to say, is the knife now degrades over time and will need to be repaired by the merchant. Yep, he returns to know,
What are you buying?
Throughout your adventure. I think this degradation thing for the knife is horrible and should be turned off. I do have other gripes with the gameplay, but there's certain things that Capcom aren't allowing me to say at this time. Graphics-wise, Resident Evil 4 looks like it belongs up there with the other remakes and even Resident Evil Village, since, to be honest, I noticed that a lot of assets were actually taken from Resident Evil Village and the other remakes in order to create this game. Sure, there are a lot of new assets used in the game, but it does feel lazy at times when you see some obvious Village or Resident Evil 2 assets show up all over the place, over some new and updated areas as well, in like the Village, Castle and other places. When you go into some places, like caves for example, you'll notice that the lighting engine used here for Resident Evil 4 is a huge delight. When using your flashlight, you'll notice some things right down to the dust dancing in the light beam, and how reflections are used on the walls to add to the scares. This also applies to water effects and other things, so showing that the RE engine is still one of the top engines to work with. As someone who wasn't a fan of the original Resident Evil 4 and saw it as the beginning of the downfall of the Resident Evil series, I will say that I'm turned around on the game at this time. With all the improvements of gameplay, story and graphics, I'll be playing this version over the original for a long time to come. Hell, I might even take back some of the bad things I wrote about it a few years ago. Does Resident Evil 4 live up to Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes? Well, it's better than 3, which is not that hard to beat, but it's not quite up there against Resident Evil 2, which is the true masterpiece of the series in my own opinion. There are still some flaws in the story, and the gameplay can be hit and miss, not to mention there were an insane number of glitches and graphical problems with the PlayStation 5 version that I was given to review. This leaves Resident Evil 4 getting a 4.5 out of 5 stars from me, but a recommended stamp as well. This has been Carl for The Outer Haven. Please visit our website at www.theouterhaven.net for our full review, and keep coming back to our YouTube channel for more reviews and other contents almost on a daily basis. Remember to subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a like and a comment. And I'll see you at the castle, if you survive.